Hi everyone, I'm Sanjana. I'm the Fireside Chat Coordinator for J&J, and I'm here with Christina. Thank you so much for joining us today, Christina.
Thank you, Sanjana. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm really happy to be able to participate in this great effort, and hopefully impart some information that up-and-comers can use and apply in their paths.
I'm sure you will. All right, let's get started. So tell us first about your educational and professional backgrounds and the path that you took to get to where you are today.
So I think if you think unique is probably something that you would probably describe my career path as. So I think that when we're younger, right, in middle school and then high school, we kind of look for references around us for the career choices that we may consider, whether it be our parents, our teachers, or community leaders, and even nowadays, social influencers, right? To make that connection for potential careers that we want to choose, and we also, may also rely on our skill set at the time. If we're good at academics, if we're good at athletics, sports, that can also influence the choices that we make, right? And also the things that we know that we're good at, right? So if I'm good at cooking, or if I'm good at art, I'm good at music, those things kind of, play a role in the decisions that we make and possibly the career choices we make. So early on for myself, I thought I was going to follow in my father's footsteps and be a chef. And, it's, in fact, in high school, I actually worked in the kitchen of his restaurant as a short order cook, my junior year of high school. And, later on, my senior year, I fell in love with history. I had this amazing history teacher, and it became a passion for me. And so I embarked on my college career to become a high school history teacher, actually. So that was my first pivot. And then, while I was in the middle of getting my undergraduate degree, I moved locations, and I ended up in Union County, New Jersey, and searching for jobs locally. I was looking for an entry-level position while I was finishing my undergraduate at night. And I happened to look at, company websites from local companies, and, looking for roles, and sent my resume in to a couple of places. I got an interview with Infineum, and got offered a position, and I took the job, what I thought was going to be a job, right, to help pay to finish my undergraduate degree, because I was on that track to becoming a teacher. And 2 years in, lo and behold, an opportunity came up from that entry-level position. Actually, I started as an administrative assistant, and a position came up in customer service, and they said, "Hey, you're doing really good here. We'd like to know if you'd be interested here in this other position." They were just starting to change their business management platform. And so it was a good opportunity, and I took it. So, and I'm still, at that time I was still finishing my undergraduate, but it was a good opportunity. And I'll make reference to that again later on. It's your path may encounter changes, but being open to those changes is really important. So, that's a key thing when you're choosing or making decisions about your career, right? After going to customer service, I spent a couple of years there, and then another opportunity presented itself, moving to another position that kind of was just developing out of our finance department. And someone said, "Hey, I think you'd be a good fit. Why don't you apply?" And I did. At that time, I think I was just getting ready to finish my undergraduate. And I did apply for the position. And I'll talk about that later. This being able to move internally is something that you can also take advantage of. You don't necessarily have to jump to different companies to get a variety of experience. You can do that just within the company that you're in if there's those opportunities, right? So at that point, I was in finance, in the finance group, and I had I think it was the regional finance manager at the time, said, "Hey, you're doing really good at this. Have you thought about getting your master's?" At that point, I had been a year out of undergraduate. I was like, "Oh, yay, I'm done." and and I really hadn't given it much thought. And he said, "I think you do really well getting your MBA." And so I embarked on the next 3 years, working full time during the day and earning my MBA in the evenings. I had the added benefit that Infineum really invests in their people, and so I was able to take advantage of the tuition reimbursement process that they offer. So I was invested in my education and my development just as much as Infineum was invested in my education and development. So there are plenty of companies that offer those benefits to their current employees that should be something that you look at when you're looking at a company. When you start out your career, what are the benefits? And not just what the paycheck is, right? Every month, it's what other benefits come with it. So in this whole process, I wasn't by myself. Obviously, I had support from my family, I had support from my friends, but I also had great support from my coworkers. In fact, I ended up celebrating the graduation, my undergraduate and my graduate graduations with my coworkers, because I attained both degrees while I was working with Infineum. So, here we are 20 years later. It's a long career. In fact, I just celebrated 20-year anniversary this past January. And again, thank you. And you have to take a moment and reflect how long it's not only been, but also how each achievement has been attained and how I got to where I am today. And a lot has to do with taking the opportunities as they come, not being afraid of doing something different than what you thought you were going to do, right? And taking each of those opportunities and taking something from it, because you give part of yourself, right? You give your time, your effort, your dedication, but you're also getting something back, whether it be an experience, new skill set, learnings, expanding, the depth and breadth of the subject that you're working on, right? So those are all things that you take away from the experience. And I call that like the toolkit. I always, when I talk to people about that, I reference the toolkit. Every time that you have an opportunity, either to move from role to role or move up as a promotion, you're adding to that toolkit. And that toolkit adds value to you as an employee, because you're an asset to the company. And you can take that toolkit you take with you wherever you go. It can apply to the company that you're in now, the role that you're in now, or you can take it and use it at another role and apply it, or another company and apply it, another industry, right? Another career path. Those are core skill sets that you get over time, whether they be communications, teamwork, leadership, problem solving, analytical skills, right? Data crunching. Those are all things that you can apply later on to different areas of whatever business that you're doing, right? And so 20 years later, I've hopped around through many functions, actually. I've supply chain, procurement, finance, and actually most recently, I'm back to procurement as the business services leader. And so, I've made a full circle at this point. But in the process, again, I've had 8 roles altogether, but every single role, whether it be, actually the majority of them have been from lateral, which is within the same level, but each one has added to my toolkit set, right? The one thing I would say, and I think I've talked about this before with my coworkers, is not to be afraid of those lateral moves. Those lateral moves always gain you something, whether it be into the toolkit or your network, right? Because as you grow and you move positions, even if it's outside to another company, you're growing that network, right? You're meeting people through all these opportunities, and that's your network that you can fall back on. Sometimes, you're doing a project, you have a question about something, make a phone call, hey, I know that you do this. What do you think? Can I have your opinion? It could be at a time later on in your life where you're thinking, I need something different. What else is there for me? You call that network and see, hey, what other opportunities are out there? So, like I said, whether it's moving lateral or moving up, every opportunity that you take is adding to that toolkit or to that network of people that you get to know over the years of your work career, right? What else? I think for myself, I've had the benefit of having some great coworkers, like I mentioned before, and some amazing leaders who have been just as vested in me and my development as I have been of myself, right? You'll meet several people throughout your career, and you'll kind of find those people that have like the experience, have been around for a long time, that you can rely on for advice. I think that's another key aspect of your career path. You ask for, hey, what do you think? Like that finance manager who mentioned to me, hey, you're doing really well in this. Have you ever thought of getting your MBA? I mean, if you had asked me in high school, would I be, venturing into finance and budgeting? I would have said, what? But here I was, working towards that. And also, like I said, the opportunities, right? You take them as they come and you make the best of them. Some of us have the opportunity to go to school during the day and do extra things at night. I had a completely different experience. I worked all day and I went to school at night, right? The same thing when I was getting my graduate degree as well. It sounds overwhelming, and at times, absolutely, it can be overwhelming, but you take the opportunities and you make the best of them. And for me, despite having those moments where they're like, I can't keep going, it's so hard, you push through, you envision the end goal, and I think that helps you get to where you aspire to be to. So I think that's also something that's very important when you're thinking about your career path. I mean, just starting out, you're thinking about the right now. Eventually, I think midway, you start to think about, okay, where's the next 20 years going? So what else? Like I said, I'm currently in procurement. I have been back in procurement for the last 3 years, overseeing, actually started as a larger team and it's kind of condensed down. And right now I'm overseeing some outsourced services that we're doing with another third-party company. And though the role has changed while I've been in it, that ability to adapt to change is really important as well, right? You get into a role and there's like a description of these are the things you're going to do, but that evolves year on year as the company is changing as well, growing, evolving, transforming. And you have to be also, open to that change and helping the company to get to where it wants to be in the future as well. So what else? I don't know if did I miss anything there?
No, you were on a roll, so I didn't want to stop you. But wow, that was such an incredible response. And, just from hearing about your career path and all the different obstacles you went through, but, the fact that those obstacles were there for a reason because they really put you on the path to where you are now, that is just an incredible thing to hear. And it's very, very inspiring. I can't imagine balancing a full-time job and school. So props to your younger self for doing that. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the one thing. Yeah, I would say it sounds daunting, and it can absolutely, when you're going through it, like I said before, it'll feel overwhelming. But those challenges add to your character, right? And they help you grow and learn, because whether you choose to stay in the current career path that you're headed, or you have an opportunity for a change, or you're maybe forced to change, right? Sometimes it's not a choice. This is no longer, a career path for me. I have to go somewhere else. Those challenges help you grow and learn and become better. So.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And you touched on some advice already, but I'm excited to hear sort of the full scope of everything at the end of the session. So I'll be waiting for that. But until then, my next question for you is, did you have any significant extracurricular experiences in high school or college that really helped you later on in your career? And for you, I'm sure your job was a main thing. So that definitely falls under this umbrella.
Yes, yeah. So, and like I said, from my history, you can tell, honestly, I didn't have the time to have those extracurricular activities, unless you count historical simulation club in high school when we reenacted history events. That kind of applied if I had become the history teacher, but honestly, in college and in finishing my graduate, I just didn't have the time because I was focused on working and going to school and finishing school. But again, it's not the things that we don't have; it's the things that we have. We make the best of what we have, and the honest truth is that nowadays, yes, it's great if you can balance school and extracurriculars, sports, clubs, the things that you love to do. That's wonderful, and if you have that opportunity to do so, that's amazing. But there are some of us like me who can't or don't have that opportunity because we're focused on somewhere else, and that's okay as well. I think that companies and even colleges really value diversity, and that diversity comes from our backgrounds and the opportunities that we have and what we make with them as well. So it's not necessarily, if you don't have a club listed on your transcripts or your resume, that doesn't make you a less valuable candidate. What you add to that, whether it be I'm working or helping my family or something of that nature, volunteering, that adds value back. So it's not an unequal scale. So kind of balance.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. So, my last question for you is, what advice would you give to young people who will be embarking on their professional lives soon?
So I think that from my background, you can tell, the number one thing I would say is be open to change. Change can be scary. It could feel daunting. It could feel like, massive change can feel overwhelming, right? But being open to that change can open new doors, new possibilities, new opportunities that you never even considered before, right? When I was in high school, I never thought supply chain. Who ever heard of supply chain? Again, finance, me, math. but you grow, you learn, you're open to change, and you add to that toolkit. Everything that you do, everything that you add to that adds value to you as an individual, and your character, but also your value and what you bring to the table when you're applying for a role, right? And that's really it. And then the other thing is, don't be afraid of challenges. Just like I said, change can be daunting, but also working in what your comfort zone is also, it's great. You're comfortable, you know what you're doing, but sometimes that can get like a little monotonous, right? So being open to a challenge, even if it's a difficult challenge, something you've never done before, being open to do that, because you'll learn something from that. You'll learn whether or not you like something. You learn whether or not you're good at something else, right? And again, you're adding to that toolkit. And I keep referencing that toolkit because that's what you take with you, right? That's the experience and the skill sets that you take with you wherever you go. So that would be my number one advice. You think you have a path, but be open. There's always, there's always change, and take the opportunities as they come. And if there's no opportunities, push to make opportunities as well. I started as an admin. I did my best, in that role, and the opportunity came up for customer service. But in the other roles, I had to apply to get, an opportunity to display my skill set and say, hey, I can do this job. And so definitely, if the opportunity doesn't present itself, push to get an opportunity or make an opportunity for yourself as well.
Wow, that was such incredible advice. And I think the idea of the toolkit is super important. I think that's something that I'm definitely going to keep in the back of my mind. That collection of experiences and skills that I have and sort of viewing it as a backpack, I think is a good way, or a toolkit, as you mentioned, is a good way to, trudge through life. So I hope all the students out there listening can also agree with that and keep that in the back of their minds as well. So thank you so much again, Christina. This was such a valuable session. I'm going to take so much from it and keep it with me as I progress through life. And I'm sure the students will too. So thank you so, so much again.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. And I wish you all good luck in your career paths.